I want to talk about something right out of the gate, and that is how
let's go.
emo night has got to fucking go away.
Which one?
Wait, can we unpack? Yeah, we got to unpack this. I need to know why why you hate emo night.
All the emo stuff just needs to stop. Just if you like the music, listen to it. If you don't. But stop talking about it. For the love of God, stop talking about it. Stop talking about elders and Midwest. And there's a hardworking touring band who tried to get a hold for the venue that night, and a bunch of dorks instead want to go listen to Spotify streams. They're in there talking about emo night, and they're playing Linkin Park. Get the fuck out of here.
Holy shit.
Right out the gate.
Oh, Jordan woke up angry.
That's all I want to say about that.
All right, let's launch into this one. I think I texted y'all this, and I was like, yo, we're going to talk about this, but I'm going to save it. Okay, so I have a very legit confession, and I feel like y'all are going to be like, this is actually impossible. Everyone's going to be like, no, dude, there's no way.
You're not a drummer? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
What's going on right now, dude?
I have never in my entire life finished an actual podcast episode. Ever? I've never listened to a podcast
all the way through.
Yeah, I've heard snippets.
What's the farthest you've gotten?
I have never sat down and listened to a podcast and finished it. I've probably got 10 minutes in.
I think that's fine.
I think that's fine.
Hey, listen, it counts as a stream as long as you listen to the first 60 seconds. So
that's what we tell people. Hey, just give us 6 seconds. But no, I just think it's funny that we're doing this. And I'm like, I've never listened to a full episode of anything because I have so many homies that are so into it.
You know what, though? Podcasts are for people who sit at a desk all day or commute.
Oh, true.
That's me.
Wait, Nate, so is there a point in the podcast where you stop? Like,
no, it's not even like I'm like super bored or I don't like it. I just don't go after it at all. Like someone will be like, yo, this podcast is really good. And I instantly like glaze over and I'm just like, someone says podcast and I'm like, all right. as we're making
is the first time you've actually listened to an episode now? Is it our podcast listening back?
Yeah, he hasn't listened to ours, dude.
No? Okay.
Yo, Nate's like it sounds great.
I was there. I don't need to recall it.
And we trust Jordan to edit it.
Yeah, Jordan's so good at editing. I just let him do it.
I actually replaced Nate's voice with a little AI thing, so it sounds like a 12-year-old girl.
I love out the gate. Just
Jordan's upset about emo nights.
I'm not upset about it. It's just annoying to see.
Jordan, have you actually been to an emo night?
No, I would never.
Never.
Every night's emo night in my house.
Okay. Yo, we should have Lou on here and talk about our emo night experience because
I've heard about it.
I feel like I can't tell you. I'm sure you have, but I can't tell the story without him because I feel like he will recall even funnier stuff. So we'll save it. But I will say, I think I agree with you, Jordan, but going to some of them, if you're down to like see a spectacle, but it's almost like podcasts, I can only get about 15 minutes in and then I'm out of there. But for those 15 minutes, it's funny. And I've done a couple. I've been asked to do it.
Here's my counter. If there's no cover charge, you can gather, listen to some songs you like. What's the big
That's
deal?
right. If it is a DJ night at a club where people are going to listen to a DJ play soul records, whatever, I get it. That is not what's happening. That is not what's happening there.
For a second, I thought you were coming back around, but
Me too.
But if it's free, you can just drink, hang with your friends, listen to some songs that actually aren't emo songs. That's a whole nother argument.
That's the rub. If you wanted to say we're gonna go listen to it's radio rock night at the fucking House of Blues, and the bass player from is gonna spin his favorite Linkin Park tracks.
Here's my question. I've never been to one, but is there enough songs to have this many? There's only really a certain playlist of songs that people are going to like.
Right, but the younger generation, who is actually the people that are going to do this thing, they also don't even know what that word, they don't know what the genre is.
Well, it's about playing the hits.
They think anything that they liked when they were 13 is emo.
Yeah. Well, and I think go back to what you said before, Jordan, I think if I was to have like my biggest issue with it would be the fact that like bands are trying so hard to like play in front of anyone. And I do think the frustration of being like, oh, that'll sell out at like 1,200 people and bands still struggle. Like guarantees for some of these things are bananas. They'll literally be like sold out night. We're going to crush and booze. So they'll get paid a shit ton of money. And so I think that's, my like old man comes out and I'm like, it makes me sad that like you struggle as a musician and playing shows, and then you're like, whoa, like, what's going on over there? There's like a line around the corner. It's like someone's going to push play and jump around on stage.
Wait, so, but people, it seems like people enjoy it.
Yeah, people enjoy a lot of things. There's a lot of things people enjoy.
Ben.
I just think if you can gather around at a bar, forget the venue and guarantees and all those dynamics. I think that does become more complicated to advocate for. But
Here's the difference is if Nate, I think your mic's off.
No, it's not.
oh, you're just quiet.
We'll use King State as an example because it's a bar. If people wanted to go to King State and sit at the bar, sit at a table with their pals and have beers and have a conversation while the music that's playing over the Sonos just happens to be from a certain era or whatever. But it's the fact that there's a guy, a nondescript Chad guy on stage at a venue in front of quote unquote decks, which is just a laptop with Spotify.
I've never been to one. I don't know what they're like. So I can't, I feel like I'm not the right person to judge.
My favorite thing is when Ben was like the level of it being fine is people enjoy it. I'm like, that's so many things. That's all that matters.
It's just crazy. Who would have thought this would be a thing?
While we're on this, Jordan, how do you feel about anniversary tours?
Oh,
Great.
shit.
This is great.
Bands almost have to do them. They have to do them because the people, they know that they'll sell double the amount of tickets they normally would. It's not an achievement for something to age. It does that on its own.
The achievement is trying to make money.
Yeah, and if people are willing to pay for it and have a great time and listen to an album they loved 10, 20 years ago, like Ben said, let people be happy.
Where I draw the line is bands getting back together just to do that. That's where I draw the line.
To do what? To capitalize or just like
To capitalize, because I've gone to some of those shows. I have yet to. The only one I've seen so far that was good was Refused. All the other ones were disappointing. It was like especially if you saw them in the prime, it's not going to be it's just not going to be as good. Sorry.
What did you think of the Say Anything 10-year anniversary tour that you came to?
Jesus.
You Say Anything is still a band. That's what I'm saying. They didn't get back together to do that.
Band,
That's true.
I want to break up again just so I can get back together and make all that money. Sweet money.
We'll be right back.
I think really the issue is that music today, new music is so bad that people are just like, I just want to go back.
Yeah. I think there's parts of that.
Well, it's the nostalgia aspect of it for sure.
Yeah.
Nate, how like the first
Nate, you've done all the things that Jordan just said sucked. Go ahead.
Wait, no. What was the year the first Amber Lynn album was released?
The first album, 2003.
2003, and that, in my opinion, was peak emo. I think that was peak emo that year.
Yeah, like the third that year was like the pinnacle of like that third wave of what are all the
the early to mid 2000s.
It's like 2001 to 2004, like that era is like,
and that was 20 years ago. That was 20. So that's crazy. I don't know why I brought that up.
I thought you were about to ask about, like I said, all the things that Jordan just said suck.
Well, no, I mean, I don't even. So Jordan, if there was one band you could see right now, reunion tour, well, who would it be?
None.
Oasis
probably, actually.
That's a good one.
If Oasis actually does it, the reunion thing, it won't be a like, we're only playing definitely, maybe it'll just be like, we're going to play shows. That I'm fine with.
Yeah.
But the arbitrary celebration of something that
it literally is just nostalgia. I really do think that it's just people, and also for, on the side of having to do these things, I think people that they want to hear songs that were like, we would have never, ever, ever played them live because they're just like, whether it's too chill or a deep cut. So I think for those type of fans that are like, have a connection to a song that they love, I think that's why those anniversary tours draw fans out, because it's songs that they've maybe never heard.
Yeah, that's a good point.
the thing is, like, I think too, it comes down to the bands like Amber Lynn or like Say Anything or Dashboard or Copeland or any of these bands kind of were at the peak when the music industry crashed, and I think that's
100%.
That's the turn. They were forced to, like, Amber Lynn, you guys had the freaking number 10 most played song or whatever on alternative radio for an entire decade. You should be millionaires off of that, but it was in an era where you didn't get paid for that.
A bad era. You should have heard how many times we heard that, because that was 2008, the Feel Good Drag, and it was the number one most played rock song on alternative radio that year by a landslide. Number one.
Crazy.
And it hit number one too, but it was the most played. And so many people were like, dudes, if this was the late 90s, you'd all and we just heard that so much. Like we'd hear like,
You're probably like, gee, thanks a
that
lot.
didn't, I mean, it moved the needle. Yeah, well, it seriously was tough to hear because it was like we were on Universal Republic, so we were on the biggest major, and it was like we had a single, and we were just like playing radio shows after radio shows. And I think I made less money that year than I'd in so many other years. It didn't equate to anything besides like longevity, which is cool.
Yeah,
and returns of like, the publishing checks were okay. And it was like, but everyone, like even at the label was like, God, if this was like 2002 or 90, within that era, 99 to this, he's like, this is like sets you on another level. You know what I mean? You just make so much money, and it's like that just wasn't the case. So
I mean, you got to think about like Dashboard getting that Spider-Man song.
Well, that was perfect time.
It was good, but if it was
I mean,
if that had been the main song on The Bodyguard, that dude would be Scrooge McDuck through a pile of money. Like that's what I'm saying is like
it just was changing so drastically. Right,
everything was so different by the time all that happened.
Yeah,
it was like
no, that's right.
But I think that's where the like bands like Amberlynn shouldn't be in the position having the plays that they have on radio. To have to do a nostalgia tour.
Did you guys see any like? Because I think with the Dashboard thing, I think it also brought faces to shows and stuff, and like,
for sure.
And I think that's the big side of it. But I mean, that's like early '90s. You probably would have,
I think it would have been just all of it, meaning like. You know what I mean? It's like that did help, but like and again, I'm not complaining. It's just that is the facts, and especially when we heard it so much, like, oh man, y'all missed it by like 5 years. We're like, cool, cool, thank you so much. But I mean, that is a big part of it, Jordan, for sure. It's just like, all right, well, what
You're right though, Nate. What you said as far as there just are so fewer avenues to actually make money as a band, and cost of touring has gone up, margins have come down for that. So if your only option really to survive and keeping a band is playing anniversary
nostalgia
tours, then I don't blame bands that do that.
100%.
Well, also, it's some of these people. It's the first time seeing the band too. Like the reunion show which is crazy. That's
happening now. When people come to our shows, they're like, "Oh my God, I got so into you in like 2016, and we were broken up." And they're like, "I haven't seen y'all." You know what I mean? So like, there is that. Yeah, that cool. You gain some new fans here and there, but I don't know. I mean, Jordan, I feel like
you're wrong, Jordan.
The reunion tour stuff to me is not egregious at all. The emo night thing is.
Let's circle back to you hating that. That's better.
I recently watched that the documentary about was it Woodstock that Limp Bizkit where it got really violent and there was a fire.
99,
so I watched that recently. I was wondering, like, obviously the bands from our scene, merch sales are like a big, which is again because sales aren't like people aren't buying records, and even if they are, you're not getting paid for it. So that's not really a money driver. So merch is like a big driver for the bands from where we come from. I kind of wonder, was it a driver for bands like in the 90s, like Limp Bizkit? Because you would see, like, of course they had, licensing where you go into like a FYE to buy records and they had Limp Bizkit shirts. But like, you don't hear about like doing, $300 a head on merch at like a big, there's like the stories of Insane Clown Posse where they have to drop ship the entire merch catalog every night because they sell so much. For like a Limp Bizkit or a Linkin Park I wonder if they were doing numbers like that. When,
I'm sure they were. I mean,
now they are.
Well,
for sure,
and think it might have been a lot more messy, like with like counting in and in my brain, it's like if we did this was 2012 or something like that. We did like a small run with Linkin Park in Germany, and I obviously that's not as old like long ago as you're talking about, but dude, they had so much merch. It was like absolutely mind-blowing, and the line for merch was all day, just literally like all day, and they would just sell, and they had like 10 sellers, and it was just like it looked like a mini pop-up of like so I mean I think bands, so I don't know though if it was like a big driving factor, but I would imagine it would. And back then there's no credit cards, it was just all cash. Someone's like walking away with like 30 grand just like shoved in a backpack.
Well, because there's like a safe on the bus, like it's just.
Dude, speaking of that, do you guys remember when credit cards for touring bands became like an option? We had like a full road case, so like we'd pull it out and we'd have to connect, and he'd have to set it up, like get on the phone and do all this stuff just to like probably do like $200 of transactions because everyone was like, oh, I just brought cash. Like
the crazy thing is you gotta wonder with Square, like it was probably super super lucrative at that time to own an ATM company and place it in a venue.
Oh yeah.
But these days that ATM probably they probably have to refill that with cash like twice a year because like everybody's got Square.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
That's the early 2010s when I started touring. Square was out, so you had the little swipe card reader, and so I never really had to.
And now
experience
you
what
don't
Nate
even have
talked about.
to. The Square doesn't even. It just you tap the phone.
No, I just blink
That's
at him
crazy.
and somehow it pays. Oh, dude, that's what we should get in. This podcast turns into like this whole money. Reed can speak into it. We just get angry about everything.
I'm trying not to talk about any of this stuff.
Reed's corner, man.
Reed just starts sweating. He's like, "Oh, now's my time."
No. I'll stand down.
Then he gets fired for giving unsolicited.
Dude, give us secret trading. What's that? Inside trading tips.
Inside.
Now it's time for insider trading with Reed Murray.
With Reed. All right, Reed, give us the stupid. We should
None of the
stock
commentary
updates.
that you're hearing can be interpreted as investment advice, so please do not act like
Oh, he's giving the legal.
That being said,
These opinions are my own and not necessarily the reflection of my employer.
All right, take us to the moon, Reed.
No,
Yeah.
but
how do I moon? How do I moon, Reed?
What stonks are we getting into, dude?
I am not. No, on the topic of shows and everything, I'm going to change. I'm just going to
topic was
I'm going to
money,
change this
Reed.
subject.
Don't change it.
Way to change
On the-
the subject.
On the topic of shows, not one person was talking about
I'm
shows.
getting very nervous right now.
I just want to know what shitcoin I need to buy. How many shitcoins do I buy today?
I think they are cheaper than they were last week, so there is that.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I'm going to get right on that.
No, don't do that.
All right, thanks for that one, Reed.
Do not.
On the count of three, everyone talk about how much money they lost.
No, really.
All right, back to the
back on
shows.
All right, yeah,
topic.
back
I
to
actually-
back to shows.
It's slightly separate, but still on the topic of shows. Do you remember your first show? What band was it or artist?
Of course.
I do, and it's embarrassing. And
Yeah,
I,
mine
Oh,
too,
just why are you guys so embarrassed by your
All right,
pants?
I'll
Who the
start with
fuck
mine
cares?
because
All right,
mine.
I'll go
oh,
first.
You go, Nate. Mine's embarrassing too, but I don't really
No,
care.
what?
Nate,
Okay.
Nate's like, I don't care.
Nate's like it was Barney on ice.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Nate, you go.
We're all grown ups. All right, my first show ever was with my band Bottle Rocket. So it was me and my brother and our like one of our childhood.
That's the
best
first show
friends.
you even attended.
Yeah, you're.
No,
Are we
wait,
talking
about
play or attending?
Played. We're talking about
No,
playing, right?
attended.
Oh, attending. Oh, dude, I thought we were talking
Oh
about
my
play.
god,
Yeah.
Ben and I, same wavelength.
Yeah. Come on, man. We'll do both. How about all right? First, we're
this
gonna.
podcast is about drums and playing drums.
Half of this podcast doesn't even play drums.
We were just talking about emo night. It doesn't matter.
I know. I'm just kidding. Okay, now I know the assignment. I don't know if I can recall it.
I went to see a Christian singer named Carmen.
Oh yeah,
Carmen ruled.
I know who that is.
He scared me to death.
How was that? How?
Costumes and like it was a spectacle.
Oh,
First
damn.
actual punk show I think was Furthishings Forever at Club Laga with Chris.
Wow.
This is not my first show, but I saw Chris play at this fest called Donkey Fest. And it was him with an acoustic guitar, and people were just like talking loudly and not paying attention to him. I remember us watching, and I think he'd put out a couple songs, and we were mind blown. I was like, "Holy shit, this is crazy!"
Mhm.
Like it was just that, just seeing it do with a guitar, and like it was just weirding me out that everyone was just like wandering around. But
Listen, people talking at a festival called Donkey Fest.
Yeah, big shocker.
I'm not shocked, but one of my early ones. I don't think it's the first one, but I saw Everclear. I know you're.
Nice.
It was
damn,
pretty
that's
crazy.
cool. I think my first might have been a band called Audio Adrenaline.
Oh yeah.
They're like
I remember that band.
Christian-ish. They had to rip someone. I can't remember what the equivalent
Oh,
was.
they ripped it? It was like a grungy.
Yeah, it was cool though. I remember being like same thing. But then shortly after I went to like a Christian hip hop thing.
Mine was Backstreet Boys Millennium Tour.
Whoa.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, sick.
Oh yeah.
Why is that embarrassing? That rules.
Yeah, that's the
I
best.
don't know if
one.
it's as cool, but I'm not embarrassed by it. I just but I vividly remember going to that.
And you were at Grant. You guys are in Ground Zero. That's Florida.
That's
baby.
true. Yeah, it was in Tampa at now the Amalie Arena, but it was the Ice Palace back in the day.
I still refer to the Ice Palace.
Yeah, me too. And I went with my family. So my sisters and my dad, maybe both my parents. I can't remember that, but
No, well, so let's go back. Let's go back to the real quick. The question of your first show you played. Do you remember that?
First show I ever played. Yeah, I do. Mine was at Bottle Rocket, my brother and best friend's band.
Yeah.
And we played at St. Timothy's Church, and I was 12. Could not sleep the night before, was like nauseous all day because I was so nervous and so excited. It was Bottle Rocket, a band called Point Blank, which was a ska band that my brother, other brother played saxophone in, and Grant Brandell played bass in.
Wow.
From Under Oath. So that's how I know Grant, is through Pete's first band.
Through a ska band.
And and James Smith was in it too. He played guitar.
Wow.
Anyway, it was and then I forget some other punk band, but yeah, that was our first show. There's no stage. There's just an empty room. We set up on the floor.
Mine was with Marksman, old band I was in. It was called renamed to Tall Heart, but we played at Crowbar in Tampa, and maybe to 30 friends and family.
I was there.
And it was like 2010 or 11, I think. So I was 20 or 21.
But the best thing Bottle Rocket ever did, and it was like towards one of our last ones because I started doing stuff with Amberlin. It was Bottle Rocket, Newfound Glory, Piebald, Wyatas at the Refuge in St. Pete. And it was so sold out that it was like, I mean, that venue probably holds 250.
That's crazy.
Dude, it was so
That's a crazy lineup.
packed. And it was like, that was like, I couldn't sleep for days. I was so excited because our homie did it, put the show on. He's like, yo, and Bottle Rocket was like starting to do cooler, like local shows. And I still have the poster. I just found it.
It's hard for me to imagine that Piebald and Newfound Glory were in the same era.
Yeah.
For some reason. Like Piebald seems so much old. Maybe because they were.
Well, I was thought so. Remember, Piebald's first album was like a hardcore album.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even. Yeah, it was like it wasn't even. And then they wrote that. What's the one that has like all the crazy?
You're part of it. God, that song is.
We are the best friends that we have.
It still holds up.
That artwork. I remember opening that CD. The CD booklet was like 64 pages.
Jeez.
And it like pulled out into this big long thing. And they had has the door of their old van on it, and it's all on white. So they had shot all these photos and stitched them all together. So it was like one long continuous thing.
Cool.
It had like all their pieces of their van and shit. And I remember like opening that and being like, this band must be huge. That record probably sold like 90 copies.
Do you guys still own some of your CDs that you acquired over the years?
No.
I have so many
CDs.
Yeah, I have like
really
jewel cases and all.
I kept all the ones where the artwork was like influential to me.
Yeah, I have a select handful that I kept.
I have all my Pogs.
Hell yeah.
That's great. That's going to come back.
It is going to come back, and I have been saying that, and now I'm starting to see there was like some vintage store like found a bunch of dead stock Pog hats and was selling them, and I was like, I'm telling you, dude, that's with all the '90s shit, that is right.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what that is listening, it's just a round.
It's milk caps.
Yeah. And you would. What was the deal? You'd have to like
slammer.
slam a
You
thing down.
stack them up
like,
and you slam them. You slam the slammer down, and whichever ones flip over, you get to keep.
Where'd you guys? Did you all have any?
We had a Pog store in my town.
Where'd you buy them? There was an actual store to buy them?
Yeah, we had a whole store that was just dedicated
we
to
did
Pogs.
too. Yeah.
What?
Actually, the maddest I ever was at my sister. They had a tournament, and you won it was like a stainless steel coffin slammer,
Hell
I
yeah.
wanted it so bad, and my sister beat me out in the tournament, and she won it, and she would not let me have it. And I was like, "What are you gonna do with a stainless steel coffin slammer?"
Yeah. Do you know what I'm gonna do?
Does she still have it?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna throw it at you. Is what I'm gonna do with it.
Well,
She flaunts it to Jordan all the time.
do you remember like the graphics on them though? How
amazing.
100%.
But then there'd be like random ones like one. This is insane. I still remember this one. It was a guy getting attacked by a dog cartoon on the Pog.
What are the cards with the Cabbage Patch Kids or Garbage Pail Kids? Like that kind of.
No, I mean, well, this one was just like a guy getting attacked by a dog, and for some reason, it was in there was a Walgreens you could go to, and it was like just a bucket full of them. You could just like sift through them, and there would always be the most random ones like that. That one.
It's weird how toys like that just go away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
It's gone. It's
just
like
gone.
It's like who decided? You know what I mean? Like
also,
even
like there's like Polly Pocket was around that time. That's still around there making a movie.
yeah, but they didn't have full stores just for Polly Pockets.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like it was so big and it just disappeared.
I always think about like I had a Pog store near us too, and like what would the internal conversation be like? All right, like the good week, like all right, numbers look good, and you're like, man, start to slow down a bit. I don't know, it's kind of quiet on the Pog front, and then like how quickly does it just like you're like, all right, we got
the conversations with investors of like, thank you so much for investing in my Pog store business. However,
we have to close our doors. Also, do you think how insane it is that it was just cardboard?
I know.
With stuff printed on it. Like but you could buy them. Like people would just spin.
Well, I think it literally was milk caps. Like it was, there used to, in like the 30s and 40s, I think there was a game.
Yeah, you do the same thing.
Just a rebranding of the milk caps.
100%.
Why has Jax not come back?
I mean, I don't know if people are really, because screens, dude. It's freaking iPhones and iPads and shit. I'm going to sound like an old person, but no one does that stuff anymore, man. No one plays physical games. Even the 90s nostalgia stuff, it's nostalgic, and you know, all the younger kids now getting into like the 90s stuff still aren't going to do anything that we did, because it actually took, like, I don't know, creativity and not just being like, oh, I want to like live this fake 90s nostalgia life, but like we did it all. You know what I mean?
Did you all ever have Pokemon cards?
No,
I
never
that
did
was
Pokemon.
too young.
That
Too
was
young
after.
for me.
I had magic cards.
Man,
but
I still have my Pokemon cards. Some of them.
do you really?
They're probably worth a shitload of money.
The couple year disparity is so tiny now in life, but when you're younger, even just a couple years will change something so drastically. Like, I missed Pokemon by like a few years.
Oh, really?
Like, there's like, I didn't watch any Power Rangers. Like, I was like Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? I was just right in that like transitional, you know, where something was very prominent in someone's life, and then like only a couple years difference, it changes. Especially back then, I feel like, you know, such a different, even music wise, you're like, I miss this because I was listening to this, and it was like only.
That's true.
I know a place you can go to hear all that old music.
Yo, what is going to be the next emo night? What's the next, like, what is it?
The definition of emo is rolling in a sense
They're
that
gathering up
they'll
everything.
just change it. Like, new metal will go away. It'll just be called emo. Like, that's where it's going.
Jordan, that is true. Like, I've been to some, and they'll play like 3 Days Grace. And I'm like, this is not even close. And I love 3 Days Grace, by the way. I will jam a couple of those songs, but it's just funny when they just start tossing in whatever the hell they want. And they're like, yeah. So
Right.
It's weird that they brand it as emo night instead of just like, I don't know, throwback. I feel like the name is probably
but it's a buzzword.
your biggest offender.
It is a buzzword. They should just call it like Muzak at Pac Sun Night.
We should start Fun Time Happy
Time night.
Yeah,
when we play whatever we want.
Here's going back to the shows thing.
How many times are you guys going to say that between Reed?
Back to
speaking of shows.
Yeah, back to the shows.
Here's a question. Name a show where you like a flagship band in music that you saw really early.
Like, you saw a band before they blew
Broke.
up.
Yeah, like a friend of mine.
Yeah.
One friend, I had one friend who, like, really unlikely source of music, and I was usually telling her about music, and she was like, she's like, I saw this guy play and he's coming to Seattle. He's opening. We should go. And I was like, I don't want, I was like, at that time, I was like, nobody tells me about music. I find it out myself.
So you've been this way forever?
Yeah. I finally gave in and went and saw the show, and it was Bon Iver.
Oh, that's crazy.
Before the first record came out, and it was just him and one other guy on stage. He had like the suitcase drum and the whole thing. And he played that, he ended his set with, it was at, the Nectar Lounge in Seattle, which is maybe like 150.
Yeah, you're
people.
like, this isn't going anywhere. This band's not going anywhere.
I remember being like blown away, and he played R.E. Stax, the last track on the first record, last, and you could literally hear buses going by. So it was silent in the room.
That's crazy. I mean, the one that this is slightly different, but Amberlynn did a tour with, it was Amberlynn, Copeland, and Paramore was opening. And I remember even that long ago, we were like, oh shit, like this will probably be huge. Like, just even seeing them that young and seeing them play, we were like, this is, like, it felt that feeling. I was like, it's gonna be big. Like, but that would be the one that I like think about that, you know, got big afterwards. I also saw the Killers play at Jacksonville Beach. Hot Fuss. I think I told you all that, didn't I? Yeah, we played, me and my brother, and Hot Fuss had just come out, and I was in St. Augustine staying with my brother because he's going to college there, and he's like, yo, Killers is playing in Jacksonville.
That's so
he's
cool.
like, I got us tickets, like just 2 tickets, and he's like, we should go. And it was absolutely insane. All of Hot Fuss, because that's all that was out. Tiny. It was a Jackrabbits or whatever.
Whoa, that's
crazy.
crazy.
Wait. Maybe Thunderbird.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Is that what it is?
Cool.
The one
Yeah,
on the
that's the
beach, right? Or like near the water. Yeah, tiny, but just so slammed, like the most packed. It was like, that was a feeling. It was like, this might be the last time I ever see this band in this.
That's crazy.
And it absolutely was.
Mine's similar to Nate. It was Keen, but they had just put out Hopes and Fears, and they actually played at House of Blues in Orlando, where Nate is today. And I'll never forget it because all they had was that album to play front to back, and it was incredible. And it was their first U.S. tour.
I still love that album. Or Ben.
I saw Paramore at Warped Tour in 2000. 2000 maybe, or I don't, somewhere around there. And it was an all girls stage.
Wow.
Which is super weird. And also
Very sexist.
I know. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Of course, Warped Tour has got its own problem.
Well, it was crazy too, because this stage was the stage was like just the worst. It was like built like with plywood and tube. It wasn't even like a stage. And I was like, there was four people watching, and I remember there was something about them that I was like, I remember being like, this is gonna be. And then I also saw years later, I saw Phoebe in a small club in LA like not that long ago, and it was like, there's like 5 people there.
I guess that one counts for me too. I saw her.
Nate, what tour is that? What tour are you on right now?
Orlando is for lovers.
Is it just one show?
No, we've been on this tour. This is like a 3-month tour, and I'm just playing when I can. Ben, did you not know that? Amberlin's been on tour for like a month and a half, and I've played 2 shows out of those.
Wait, so what's the tour?
20 years of tears.
Dude, what, you just can do that? Like, it's just sub in when you want, dude. That's the dream, dude.
It's because I got so much. I mean, it was because I had a kid.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The tour started like 2 weeks after, or not even. So I was like, I can't do it. And this is also just the longest fucking tour of all time. So,
Now I feel bad for railing on Emo Night when you're on the Emo Night tour.
yeah, it's literally called 20 Years of Tears. Thanks, Jordan.
Wait, but who
At
else
least
is
it's
on
actual
it?
bands playing.
It's all
It's Thursday, you guys, and who else?
Hawthorne Heights and This Wildlife and Armor for Sleep. Armor for Sleep's on our bus. Those dudes rule.
Is that way? So you guys are sharing a bus?
That makes sense then.
Yeah, we are with Armor.
I was like, what? How many crew did you do? When you were like, the bus is full. It's like,
we did it just because obviously it's like
it's way less expensive.
way less, and they're so cool. It's been chill. I mean, this is my last show. I go back home, and then they go on tour for a while, and then I'll fly out. Then I'll fly out for a bit. It's cool. I mean, I'm thankful that.
How is that? How's that feel? So you're not doing back-to-back shows, then you're just kind of like.
I played St. Augustine last night, and then I'm playing. This is my first 2 in a row. I flew to Nashville and played it.
How's it feel?
Good. Last night was great. Yeah, hot, so muggy. But I personally prefer as hot.
I like hot shows too.
Personally, like muggy hot shows to me are like, I feel loose. I played so much better. If I play a venue that's like cold, dude, I play so bad. Like, but if I'm sweating like crazy and I feel loose, and I just play so much better. So last night I felt really good, which is cool.
Well, speaking of shows. Back to shows. What's the best show you've seen at that venue?
Shows.
Wait, Wait, back to shows. At the house, because you're at the House of Blues in Orlando. I've personally seen a lot of shows there, but
I have too. The best show I've ever seen here that I saw 1975 here. I mean, I saw them before in State Theater open for the Neighborhood, which was crazy because that was a similar thing where Angela and I were there for 1975. We didn't stay for Neighborhood, but I like Neighborhood now, so I probably would have stayed. I just didn't know them. In 1975, it was unreal, but no one cared. Like there was like a handful of fans there, but people like in between songs just loud as hell talking, you know what I mean? And he was just super pumped to be there. But then they kind of blew up, and then Angela and I came to actually I saw M83 here, and that's got to be my favorite show I've seen here.
I was at that show too, Nate.
Oh, sick.
I think I'm sticking with Keen at House of Blues Orlando.
House of Blues is great. I mean,
it's consistent. The rooms are cool. I don't know. It's like a comfortable place.
You'll exactly. It's also just having the peace knowing that when you see House of Blues on the schedule, you're like, oh, I get a shower.
Yeah.
And I don't have to deal with like the worst crew.
Remember the House of Blues Hollywood, like up on Sunset was the best.
Yeah, that one was great.
I just watched that movie with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, the 70s crime movie.
Oh, Nice Guys.
Nice Guys.
Yeah,
Nice
and the
Guys,
last scene, they had the last scene where they're sitting at the bar. I was like, that's the fucking bar. The House
really?
of Blues. They filmed
There's
it
a
there.
scene in there, and it was before they tore it down. I have a memory of meeting Dan Aykroyd at that House of Blues. Had a very weird interaction.
Yeah, it's like, isn't it a Blues Brothers thing?
Yeah.
It was before I was in Say Anything. I was in that old band I was mentioning, Tall Heart. We were opening for Say Anything, funny enough. And I had just played. I was sweaty as hell, just drenched in sweat. And I went outside of the balcony lounge area for the artists. And I saw on the other side, there was a little rope separating that balcony. And then on the other side was Dan Aykroyd in a suit with a bunch of other people. Maybe it was a fundraiser. I don't really know what the occasion was, but I had to say hi. I just felt like he was right there. Everyone else was too shy. I just felt like Adrenaline was still pumping after the show. I went up to him.
Big old sweaty hug.
I tackled him.
Yeah. Well, I went up to him.
Hey, Mr. Dan, it's me, Reed.
Mr. Dan.
Mr. Dan.
You know Bill Murray.
Well, I actually did feel like this is probably the closest to Bill Murray I'll ever get.
Yeah, probably.
And I went up to him. I said hi real quick. He was in the middle of taking photos with somebody else. He looked at me and said, hey, I'm going to take some photos. Just wait right here. What's your name? I told him it was Reed. He's like, great. Just give me a minute. And so a few minutes go by. I'm just sitting there like awkwardly by myself waiting for a photo with Dan Aykroyd. And then finally he goes, all right, Reed. And I was like, just thinking, you remember my name. That's awesome. And he asked me where I'm from. I told him Tampa. And that's when he goes, the Seahorse capital of the world.
The what? The what?
And I looked at him.
The Seahorse.
The Seahorse capital of the world. And I
Reed's impression is so good. I love that you did the voice.
And I just stared at him, and I just said, what? And then he looked at me like I was the moron. and he basically just said, well, there's plenty of seaweed. It's fertile ground for seahorses. There's plenty of seahorses in Tampa. And I was like, okay, Dan, that's fine. Let's take the photo. And that was it.
Reed's like, everyone knows we're known for strip clubs.
But I have the photo still.
Where is it? You got to find it. You got to
send it over.
Dig that up.
Actually, Nate, do you remember we played? I was, I think it was when I was with Amberlyn doing the Visco project thing, the 10 days, taking photos, and we played at Chicago House of Blues. And friend of the fam was working for that Chicago Ideas Festival, and she's like, "Do you guys want to go to it's ending tonight? You want to go to the after party?"
Yeah, I remember.
And we went. And Buzz Aldrin was there.
Yeah, of course. Whoa. That was at that crazy.
What?
Yeah, and it was like a hotel lobby, and it was like Oprah and Buzz Aldrin and all the Amberlyn guys and crew, and we're just all sweaty.
And then there's like the balcony, and we just kept going out there because we felt so uncomfortable. We were like, "What are we doing here?"
Yeah, smoking on because it was like
you met Buzz Aldrin.
I did. My roommate at the time was a huge fan, like loves space exploration and stuff, and he had his books there. He was signing his books, and I went up to him, bracelets, the whole thing, and was like, Mr. Aldrin, my roommate Brad is a big fan. He's like, hold on. And he grabbed a book and he opened it, and he was like, what do you want me to write? And I was like, I don't know. His name's Brad. And he wrote this message to Brad in the book that's like, keep exploring, like whatever. And he slammed it shut and he gave it to me, and he was like, nice to meet you, Jordan. And he walked away, and I was like, holy shit. And when I got home from that tour, it was middle of the night, and I was so fucking excited to give that book to Brad. I went in his room and woke him up and was like, look what I got. Look what I got. And I handed it to him, and he didn't get it. He was
sleeping. Look what I got. Look what I got.
He's like, okay. And he shuts it, and he went back to sleep. I was like, that was anticlimactic. And then in the morning, he was like, oh,
dude, what did it say? What did he write?
It was like, keep
like shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, that's so cool. You met a guy that pretended to go to space. That's so sick. He's a real hero.
Did you ask him what it was like working with Kubrick?
He'd be like, dude, Kubrick is one of my favorite directors. Well, how was that?
You know,
he's his best work.
He's knocked people out for that. So
yeah, I've seen that. I mean, if you tell yourself something long enough, you start to believe it. It felt real to him. We're gonna lose so many listeners that can't tell when we're joking.
I know.
All right, let's talk about Flat Earth.
I know.
Holy shit. We got to talk about something with drums for like half a second.
Well, before we do that, I need to say, and this is going to date this episode, but I did see an article. I know we're not supposed to talk about politics, but Kamala Harris just released a hat, like a fundraiser hat. That's a camo hat that says,
I'm pretty sure you're wearing
Harris.
it.
No, yeah. And a bunch of articles came out because that artist Chapel Roan has a camo hat with orange writing on it that has her logo. And all these articles came out. They're like, did Kamala Harris rip off Chapel Roan? And it's the two hats side by side. And the only thing that they share in common is that they're camo with orange print. And I was like, yes, Kamala Harris ripped off Chapel Roan and Cabela's and every other
hat in Florida. Yeah. Like,
cannot stand the news cycle with this stuff.
It's all clickbaity.
Just making shit up now, not even like remotely.
It's like she's the one that like made that first.
Yeah. She's like, I love this artist, Chapal Roan, and I need to make this hat.
Should we dive into another thing, or should we end this?
What's your favorite? What's your favorite rudiment?
Man.
No, I actually do have a drum thing that I was going to ask, and I thought about it. Should I do it now or later?
Yeah, no, do it now.
Okay, let's do it now. We'll do it live.
Because I'm gonna have to cut out the whole thing about me bitching about emo night.
No, you're not. That was like 30 minutes, Jordan. We might as well go for another 45.
Yeah,
to
that's
make
also
up
the
for it.
best part about this.
As a drummer, and watching other drummers or following other drummers, whatever, do you feel like you gravitate more towards drummers that are like closer to your style, like whether you follow them on Instagram or just follow them in general, or do you feel like it's like completely opposite of you, like style wise or technical wise? Like, what do you go after? Like, or like if you see a drum and you're like, oh, like that was sick, or you feel like a connection, is it usually when it is in your world or like completely separated from it?
Both.
So it's both. Okay.
I think I love to watch people who do what I do the way I wish I could do it.
Mhm.
And then I love people that do, and I don't mean this like it's fun to watch the ripping gospel chops guys. That's fun. It's not my thing. I love the I can't remember the dude's name in Erie P, the breakbeat, electronica.
Oh, that stuff's
guy
unreal.
who does like drum and bass stuff where it's like super fast. I love that's what I wish I could play. I can't do that, but I love watching that stuff. But then I love like a Ronnie or a guys like that are, or a Jason McGurr that are the kind of playing that I do. They're just like so far above what I can do that it's fun to watch that. So I guess it's both.
I agree.
What about you?
That's it.
Agreed.
You agree?
No, I actually was going to throw out Ronnie and Jason McGurr as examples as far as like drummers I wish I could play to that caliber. But yeah, otherwise I concur with Jordan.
Ben's like, actually, I'm so good. I just watch videos of myself.
I'm a big just groove guy. I mean I like the Ronnies. I do like but I think later, as far as further into a drum career or life, I gravitate more towards the guys that can just play pocket for 3 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And I don't get bored of it. You know what I mean?
That's also hard.
It is very hard.
It's so hard.
Try playing just a boom, ka, boom, ka, and not throwing in a boom.
Yeah. And also making that sound good. You know what I mean? A lot of drummers don't realize playing this, the first beat you ever learned is.
It's like white lines on the side of the road at night. It just starts to be like.
You eventually
seriously.
Yeah, you're veering off.
And then.
A drummer like that comes to mind is Steve Jordan for me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Steve Jordan, Nate Smith. Trying to think of some other guys. Oh, and my favorite drummer ever is Levon Helm. Just greasy, almost my joke is it's almost like he's gonna fall off the drum throne, he's swinging that hard. Something about that I gravitate towards.
What about you, Nate?
Oh, I was just asking the question. No, I'm just yeah, I just realized I don't, this is a funny one, but not only do I not gravitate.
And then we're out of time. So thanks for coming today. And
we got to put more quarters in the thing to keep it going. No, I not only do I not follow or gravitate towards drummers, I'm usually not into drummers that play like me at all. I'm usually oh, I'm why does he play like that? No, but it's just funny. It's I feel like I'm usually more gravitate towards drummers that are not even close to my style. Just whether it's just a super laid back dude or I don't know, just something about it's fascinating me when it feels like a completely different world. We all play drums, but when I see those drummers that do what they do, even some metal stuff, I'm just it's so disconnected from what I think I do that it's so cool to watch, and I'm so fascinated by. I'm how does your brain work that way? It's a completely different size of it. So I usually Aaron Steele's he's in my tops for sure. That dude is just because I think I could play some of that, and I can play some of that, but I think it's more of seeing it's a personal style thing to me that's always huge. That you could feel that it's this flowing kind of moving thing. So I don't know. That's usually the drummers that I gravitate towards is along.
I always say, why make it hard on yourself? I see some of these guys playing every note ever, and I'm how do you remember that? I'm just play a drum beat. The metal stuff blows my mind. Double bass and just remembering all those breakdowns and crazy parts. It's crazy. It's crazy watching that stuff.
I would say George, 1975. He's the dude that I'm I can't play that.
Yeah.
But I'm obsessed with how he plays and his vibe and his style. Everything about what he does is like I'm in it. I'm like that. That's it.
See, I think he's really good, but I think what makes him good is that it blends into the background.
But those are my favorite type of drummers. I don't like flashy drummers. I don't like. I listen to it.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. So I don't listen to that and go like, I couldn't play that.
I don't, dude. Some of his like weird polyrhythm shit, like in between stuff, my brain just doesn't work.
I mean, he produces a lot of that stuff too. So I think he's playing for the song, and when he places something drum wise in the song, it's like it's the right spot, which is difficult to do. But I mean,
it's just tasteful too. So anyway,
back to shows.
Yeah, back to shows.
I'm the only one on this pod that didn't say that today. All right. So speaking of shows,
hey, if you're listening to this, Nate said if you send him a DM on Instagram, he'll give you lifetime Amberlin guest list passes.
That's fine.
That's fine.
You got to bring me wine. That's fine. What do I care?
Yeah,
I'm like barely in this band.
Yeah.
Anymore.
What else? No. What else do I need?
Well, what do I have to give them for that?
Nothing.
Guest list spots. Anything in particular?
Just natty.
Organic, natural,
Organic,
low
biodynamic.
intervention, biodynamic,
Skin contact.
needs to have a little bit of bubbles.
Needs to smell like gym socks.
Yeah.
Gym socks or a dirty cat.
This kind of needs to be bad, but like it's good.
Honestly, dude, the worse it smells, the better it tastes.
Yeah, 100% stinky, dude. You know it's gonna rip.
Yeah.
You're like, what's all those chunks in it? It smells like gray water.
We should talk next time about if any of you have had to take an emergency poo-poo on the bus.
I'm the only one.
I almost soiled myself on the streets of San Diego just trying to find a bathroom.
Soiled myself.
I'll never forget these heartless monsters. I looked them in the eye when we got to House of Blues in San Diego, and I just told them, listen, I have to run into the venue real quick. Can you just open the door, let me in? And said, sorry, no one can come in for another couple hours.
Wow.
And he just shut me down. So what I ended up doing, I went from like Starbucks to CVS to a Walgreens, basically just one by one buying something and then being like, oh, by the way, where's your restroom?
Like, oh, we don't have it.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a bag full of shit you don't need, and you still need to take a shit too.
Well, guys, I got the rider taken care of.
I ended up going to a Subway, literally the fourth stop.
What happened though?
I got a bag of Sun Chips, and they finally they had a bathroom, and I just rushed in there.
Actually, a footlong sounds
So I had a
nice.
Starbucks coffee. I had a bag of like CVS stuff, and then I had took that all in the
They're
bathroom.
like, yes, you poor man, you can leave your shopping cart here in the lobby and go use our bathroom.
Exactly. It's Subway. That's pretty much what it smells like. I'm pretty sure everyone has the same idea there. I'll take a bag of chips and then I'm going to annihilate your bathroom.
But you know what? I should have just done it on the bus.
Like a grown
like
man.
I never did that. I was too conscientious, and look where it got me. I should have. Yeah.
It's funny that's the thing. You can't shit on the bus.
Well, you can't just frowned upon. It's kind of like you're not supposed to flush paper towels down the toilet, but we all
I mean,
do.
it's like my favorite thing is to book a really old Airbnb and just flush paper towels down the toilet all day long.
That's my thing, dude.
That's what I call vacation.
Oh.
Actually, I used to have, I thought it would be a great feature of Master Tour to add on the map thing where you can look like where people have tagged for restaurants and stuff. What establishments are open and the bathroom has paper towels instead of a hand
Oh, you've
dryer.
talked about that.
I would rather go to a place. I would rather walk out of my way to go use the bathroom at a coffee shop that has a paper towel dispenser and not just a
Instead
hand
of the
dryer.
germ spreaders, which are
Yeah.
air
Yeah.
things. All right, so speaking of shows,
All right, back to
Hey,
back to shows.
speaking
Back to
of
shows.
Yeah, Nate's
You're
got to go.
local.
Nate's got to go sound check for the emo night tour.
oh my God.